Yeah, welcome everyone to another week of Slamazon Bros Live. Today we are talking about how to purchase profitable inventory. So this is probably, one of the most practical episodes that we're going to have, because how do you sell well on Amazon? Well, you get good inventory and you buy things that are going to sell well. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be helpful for people that are getting into this because, a lot of people that come to us say, how do I find inventory? That's the main thing that they're concerned with, for good reason. And if you have been selling for a while, I think it's always a good reminder, to look at some of the tips that we're going to talk about and just be reminding yourself that you're chasing, what we're in this to make a profit. And to do that, we're going to find good inventory. So that's what we're going to talk about today. First of all, I just want to say, if you guys can either share this real quick or tweet it out, and then for you joining us on YouTube or watching on YouTube, if you hit that thumbs up button, we really appreciate that. And I also just want to remind you guys, some people that are newer to our channel might not be aware that Andy and I have a mastermind community that we're really excited about. So if you guys haven't checked it out yet, go to the website. You can click above here. We'll put it in the chat here on slamazonbros.com. You can check out our mastermind community that really is a step beyond what we show on our weekly show here. It's a step beyond what you can see on YouTube and in the Slamazon Bros Facebook group. This is a more focused group. It's for people that are really either serious about getting started on Amazon. You're past just kind of creeping around the Facebook groups and creeping around YouTube. You're serious, you want to get started and you want to get going on Amazon. That's what this mastermind community is for. And it's also for those people who have been selling for a while and are ready to take it to the next level. Maybe you're interested in private label and you're really looking to learn from Andy and I and other really smart, focused sellers. That's what this mastermind group is for as well. So I just wanted to remind everyone about that. We're really excited about this mastermind community. It's been going for a couple weeks now, and it's going really well. We're having a lot of great questions. And then we just did a webinar last weekend, last Sunday night, that was an exclusive webinar in that mastermind group. So for anyone that's interested in getting into a community, a smaller community of really focused, energized sellers, this is for you. So we encourage you to check that out. So getting into today's topic of how to purchase profitable Amazon inventory, we're just going to hit a couple tips and steps that we think everyone should be looking at, especially if you're not used to the Amazon platform and you're not used to what makes up good Amazon inventory. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is that you need to know your margins for what you're buying. So we did a whole show. It was one of our earlier shows, so you can check it out on YouTube, or there should be a link above here if you're watching this on YouTube. Check out a video or a Slamazon Bros Live that we did that was called Know Your Numbers. It's really helpful because you need to really pay attention to the margins of your inventory, because that's going to determine what your end profit is, your bottom line. So if you're new to this, there's a couple ways that you can know your margins. We have an article on slamazonbros.com. If you go there and you click the content, you can see an article that we have that's called Smart Purchasing, or Smart Amazon Buying, I think it's called. But if you're getting into this and you are buying inventory from either thrift stores or retail sourcing or online sourcing, there's a couple of simple, good ways to understand your margins and to find what the profit's going to be on your inventory. And the reason you have to do this, and you can't just always just know yourself, is because there's Amazon fees involved. So there's another article on our website that I recommend checking out that's called Understanding the Fees, or Knowing the Fees. Check that out as well, because that's important. But guys, if you're just starting out, there's a lot of programs out there, but one of the best ones that it's available and it's free is the Amazon Seller app. So if you haven't downloaded that yet, we would recommend that you download that. It's free. It connects to your Amazon Seller Central account. And so what you can do is if you're in a thrift store or in a store, a retail store like Walmart or whatever, you can scan a product with your phone, and then it will tell you what the item is currently selling for, and it'll give you an estimate of what the fees are going to be and then what your profit would be. And you can enter in what you're going to estimate your shipping to be. That's tough to say because it depends where you're shipping it to. You might want to estimate like 75 cents to $1 per pound is one way you can look at it, and that really you kind of get a feel for that as you start getting into it. But the Amazon Seller app is honestly a good way to scan products in stores and to see what your potential margin would be. And I have a video in our group and on our website as well that goes into how to use that app in detail. So you can check that out. If you don't want to use the seller app because it's too basic for you, you don't like the layout, Profit Bandit is another one. It's a paid app that you can download on your phone. That one gives you a little more details, and it's just a little bit different. Some people just prefer it, and I think it might be a monthly fee now. Andy, do you know if Profit Bandit's a monthly fee now?
Yeah, it is. It's a monthly fee, and I want to say it's between $10 and $15.
Yeah, I think it's 15 if I remember correct. Profit Bandit. So that's maybe one to check out as well. The Amazon Seller app and Profit Bandit both tell you if an item you scan is restricted or you are unable to sell it if you connect to your account. And then Mark, I think, just said that the Scan Power app is now free as well. So that's another one to check out is the Scan Power app. So any of those. So the importance of those, though, is that you're using it to determine what your margin's going to be. Because a lot of people find an item, they see it selling for $30 on Amazon, and they can buy it for $20. So they say, "Oh, I'm going to make a $10 profit on this." Well, you have to consider your Amazon fees, your shipping, and if this is basic for you, sorry, but we have a lot of people that are still just getting into this, and they say, how can we determine what our margins are going to be, and if this is going to be a profitable item? So a little reminder there. And then the fees, as far as the fees go, those are really helpful. And then if you check out, again, that article that I did on understanding the fees, I think that goes into it in more detail. And then just make sure that you're looking at current fees because Amazon did update their fees recently. And then the Amazon FBA Calculator, if you're at home, is another really simple, good tool to use to understand the Amazon fees and to try to determine what your net profit's going to be on an item. So any of those are simple tools. Most of us have heard of those tools already, but if you're new, the Amazon Seller app and then the FBA Calculator are going to be tools you want to check out, and then check out our website for those articles that go through how to do that. The next thing on how to find good profitable inventory, and again, we're keeping it simple here, guys, but the bestseller rank is really what we're looking at on every single purchase that we do. So Amazon gives us data. They give us the bestseller rank. It's based on the category of inventory that you're looking at, and a lower rank is better. But basically, we are trying to find inventory that is going to actually sell. And for it to sell, people need to be looking for it. And we base customer demand off of the Amazon bestseller rank. So there's I'll give you a couple more tools if you're not familiar with these. Keepa.com, that's KEEPA.com, is a way that you can look at historical ranking for an item, so you don't just see the current rank, you can look back. And then camel.com is another way that you can look at historical rank for items. And the reason we don't want to look at just the current rank is because rank goes up and down on a daily or hourly basis even, and you want to look at the historical bestseller rank. And again, those articles I keep mentioning, the Smart Amazon Buying on our website goes through that as well. That's pretty basic. I know, Andy, that seems like real easy for some people, and for others that are new, that seems like they're getting a handle of that. But the reason I wanted to talk about it is because I would think between the margins and the bestseller rank, those are pretty much two fundamentals for acquiring inventory when you're getting started. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, definitely. But Nate, you and I see this too. A lot of times when new sellers start selling on Amazon, they'll start doing it for like a month. And, and then I'll get a PM and they'll be like, man, none of my stuff is selling.
Yeah, same here. So that's one of the troubles. People, they kind of start, and I think they get excited and they start buying up stuff, and they might be looking at the margins piece of it. So they scanned it and they said, yeah, Amazon Seller app showed me, that there was a $20 profit on this, but it's been sitting there for a month now and it's not selling. And so what they miss is that second piece. I think they miss the, either the bestseller rank, or they miss what you're going to get into, the competition. So they buy something where the competition is just, way too high, or they're not considering the competition. So I'm just going to let you go over, some of the rules that you based on that, and then some other practical things that people need to be watching out for, especially when they're getting started.
Okay, sure. So that's part of the reason why we wanted to do this broadcast on this topic is there's definitely a learning curve when you're just getting started on Amazon. And if you're not connected to a friend who sells, or if you're not in a mastermind group, probably like our community that we're building, you can fall into some potholes along the way, and you can end up like that. And so where, you're thinking that I can purchase anything basically and it's going to sell, and really it doesn't. You have to be strategic in what you buy, or you have to be patient. So Nate and I were just talking with Curtis Batdorf earlier in the week, and those of you who know Curtis, he runs the list service. I think he's got one of the best minds that I've ever talked to when it comes to sourcing inventory to sell on Amazon. And he was saying that he definitely sees it's almost like a patient factor for a veteran seller. When they purchase a product, they kind of have an idea of how long they might have to hold on to that product. And they're probably more in a position where, I'll talk about this in a second, where they don't need the cash flow right away. And so a lot of newer sellers, they kind of go into panic mode. They'll purchase a product, and we're specifically talking about Amazon to Amazon flips, which there's a lot of really good money to be made in Amazon to Amazon flips. However, sometimes it requires patience in holding that inventory maybe for 2 months, 3 months, or even possibly 4 months. But what happens a lot of times is if you're a newer seller and you don't have a lot of cash flow, you panic, and then that's when you start the race to the bottom, right? And you're just thinking, oh man, this thing's not going to sell, so you're going to cut your price, and then you end up either like breaking even, maybe making a couple of dollars, or even losing money. And so just understand that a big piece of this is being part of a community and understanding that fast nickel versus slow dime philosophy. And so, when you're purchasing your inventory, you should kind of have in your head, right, based upon your business model, how long you're hoping to sell through that inventory. Are you hoping that it's going to sell through within a month, right? And are you at a position where if it doesn't sell through in a month, that you're okay holding on to it for 2 months, 3 months, or possibly 4 months, because now you're moving from that fast moving inventory into more a slow dime philosophy where you're going to hold your price high, and you can wait out everyone else that sells low. So again, specifically talking about philosophies, especially again, if you're a newer seller, understand those two philosophies. Some people call it long tail, right, versus fast turn. I'll give you 2 examples. So last year I had some long tail items. They were these huge Nerf guns. I actually stored them here at my house. I bought them during the spring or summer from Walmart, got a really good price on them. And I knew around Christmas time, the price would triple what it was going at summertime. So I just put those in my storage shed, as well as I bought some huge Star Wars figures. What are those guys called?
Stormtroopers.
Yeah, the Stormtroopers. Yeah, I bought like 100 Stormtroopers. Have a friend that has a huge attic. And so I stored all those Stormtroopers up in their attic. And I just sat on those for 6 or 7 months. And then I sent them in like right around the beginning of November. And sure enough, because of my experience, I knew that the price, that's when I was going to get the premium price. And so I sold through all 100 of those Stormtroopers. I sold through all of my huge Nerf guns. And I got the price that I wanted. But I understood that that was my philosophy for that item. So just kind of have in your head, right? When you're purchasing, and it really goes on the bestseller rank and then the history of that bestseller rank. And then I'll give you a fast turn example. So this is a tip, and this item still sells really good. Crystal Light. Amazon shoppers love Crystal Light. And there are different bundles on Amazon that make Crystal Light really profitable. And then when you add in coupons and then add in sales that grocery stores will do every now and then, you can get really good margins on Crystal Light. Now, sometimes it's a little time consuming because you're going to have to bundle those. But go on Amazon, type in Crystal Light, see all the different bundles, right? And the next time you're at your grocery store and you see a sale, you definitely want to be scanning that. And for the most part, the ranks on Crystal Light are really good. They're really low. And so that's fast turning inventory. So I was at I forget what they call them. They're grocery stores that sell out of date products, right? But some of them are, like 6 months before they go out of date, or 9 months. And I bought a huge pallet full of Crystal Light, and I sold through that pallet full within 6 weeks. I was sold out of it, doubling my ROI. I doubled the money that I invested in it. And so like go ahead, Nate.
And so the idea, going back to your, like you said, fast nickel, slow dime, the idea is some of those fast turning products you're willing to take a lower margin on, typically, correct? And you're trying to just turn it over quickly, that fast turn model. And then usually the long-term hold items, the reason you're holding them, like you said, those stormtroopers, is you maybe could have made a couple bucks by sending them in right away, but you were willing to hold them and take maybe even a little bit of a risk, but a long-term strategy to hold them to make a greater profit in the long run. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So like right now, I have 100 units of a very expensive item. It's in my garage, but I look back at the Keepa charts and I see in the summertime, the price on this item that's when it's the highest. And so, I'm willing to hold on to that to wait for that higher price. And then it goes back to your cash flow situation. And again, if you're a newer seller, generally a lot of newer sellers are a little more bootstrapped when it comes to cash flow. And so like you said, Nate, you want to go with faster turning inventory where you're going to be getting those payouts every 2 weeks then that you can reinvest. And so in order to do that, bottom line, what's it going to take? It takes more of your boots on the ground scanning to find that fast turning inventory. And just since we're talking about Crystal Light and grocery, again, it's still a great category if you're approved in it to get into, because a lot of those items, more and more Amazon shoppers are, and me included, are buying our groceries from Amazon. So yeah, Mike says, don't be lazy, seller, scan. When it comes down to it, it really is either you need to be out there or you're paying someone out there to be scanning when it comes to retail sourcing, because the product is out there. And you ask me how I know, it's because I talk to numerous sellers who are making really good money. However, they are in those stores and they are scanning. So, my business model primarily is private label. That's how I built my business. That's what I like. But if you're a newer seller, and Nate and I often say this, one of the easiest ways to make money is if you have the time or you have the hustle, get your phone and start going to those stores and scanning. It is still easy to get product off of that shelf and to make cash on it. Like I forget, 4 or 5 months ago, I was in Walmart and they had these Pringles, 99 cents, like the chocolate flavored one. I forget what the other two were. And there was one seller on it. And I'm selling those right now. If you look, I bought them. Listen now, it was $3, right, for 3 of them. And they're selling right now for $21.99 for 3 cans of Pringle. And it's like 14,000 rank in grocery. Now, here's the deal. When I bought those, I actually talked about them in one of our groups. It might have been in the Slamazon Bros group. Mm-hmm. And a bunch of sellers jumped on. So, of course, what happened? The price went way down. But I held mine. And so now at $22, I'm willing to sell through mine. And you can't get them anymore. So, like especially those specialty items like that in grocery, again, you'll see in a lot of times people talk about Oreo cookies, when they come out with different flavors. Two things: either you got to get in quick, right, and be the first one to Amazon, because that's how you're going to make your money, or you got to have a strong stomach and wait out all the low sellers, and then you're going to get a premium price for them. So my brother, he always says he doesn't like working for peanuts. He bought the Oreo cookie dough flavor. He was the last one on Amazon selling them. He was selling them for $30 for a 2-pack of Oreo cookies. 2 packs of the, cookie dough flavor Oreo cookies. He was the last one, and he sold through 100 at $30 for a 2-pack. But he was willing, and it was getting close to the expiration date. That's always the tricky part, when you're dealing with grocery. But he was willing to kind of hold out, and he got a premium price for those. So, just kind of understand that. You had a question, Nate?
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt you and hit on a couple things and answer two of these questions, because I think they go together and go with what we're talking about right now. So the first thing I'm going to hit on is from that one of the articles on our website called Smart Amazon Buying. It's called, I say at the end of the article, cash is king. Ever hear someone say that before? Studies show that 90% of small businesses fail due to poor cash management. So don't make that same mistake. And I have a background in finance. So what I saw a lot of times going through school and in my job was that people have trouble both with their personal and their business finances. And so if you're starting out, and this is going to lead into some of these questions we have, you really have to be aware of your cash flow situation, like Andy was saying, because a lot of people will start buying up bad inventory. Is usually what happens by not following what we're talking about here, the margins and the rank. They start buying up bad inventory, and then they run out of money to purchase good inventory, and that's when they get in trouble, and that's when they kind of come to a halt, and then they throw their hands up in the air and they say selling on Amazon doesn't work. That's kind of how I've seen it happen with a couple of people. They buy bad inventory at first, and then they say, this doesn't work. Is a bad model. So hopefully following some of these tips will help. And now I want to answer two of these questions before you get into your next part, Andy, just because I think they go with what we were saying. Joey B says, I sometimes struggle with how deep to go on a product. I know it varies, but any tips? And then Carrie said, how many of an item do you buy at a time? I tend to go lower. So I think, Andy, both you and I think we tend to go on buying more of a product, but maybe that's because we've been doing this for a while, and maybe it's also kind of a little bit of a risk factor. But I think it also goes into the cash flow situation. If you have the cash flow to buy more of a product, and you're willing to utilize that cash flow to do that, I think you can purchase more. Now, if you're tight on capital, if you need quicker turning inventory, or you just don't have as much capital to diversify your product selection, I think that's when you need to go lower. But let's hear your take, Andy, on how many to buy. I think it goes back to what we were talking about. The margins and the rank is a big part of it, but any other factors you factor in when you're deciding that?
Yeah, it really hinges all on the BSR and the history of that BSR. And so, and then the history of the price. And so, like going back to the Oreo cookies, if I can look and I can see, that the price started out at this, and so like when those cookie dough ones first started selling, it was like around $24, right? And they were selling at that price. I have a pretty good idea that when all the lowball sellers sell out, that price is going to come back up to that. And I'm saying that because sometimes if it's a new product like that, you're not going to see a history per se. But generally, what it starts out selling at, and we're talking about a grocery item like a new flavor, it's going to float back up to that when all the other sellers sell out. So talking about that specifically. But it really, for me, anything in any category, that's ranked 20,000 or less, I'm going to go pretty deep on if the margin is there. And again, the question I always ask myself a couple of things. Is it a name brand item? I have never lost money on a name brand product. I may have broke even, or maybe just a little bit. But for the most part, if it is a name brand product, like a Crystal Light, I very, very rarely have I ever lost money. And then the second thing is, if it's under a 20,000 rank, and that pretty much goes for any category, that you're going to sell through a large amount of those within 6 months. And so that's always my question is I say, you know what, depending on how deep I'm going to go on this, can I pretty much guarantee I'm going to, sell through this in 6 months?
I think the
And
other
if
thing,
I can, I'm okay.
the other part too, then probably is what you're going to get into next. I think is the competition, if the
Yep.
competition's not too much. And then one thing on what you were saying, how deep, I think another thing that we kind of look at too is if we get lazy, because I know for me it's easier if I purchase at least like 20 units of something. When I start to purchase only 1 or 2 of them, then I'm splitting them up into different boxes. And that's what I would do when I was starting off. Like the first year I would just have 1 or 2 of everything. I want to go deep. I would just get 1 or 2 of everything, which is good because you spread it out. But now I'm like, man, if I can't buy 20 of them and send them all case packed to the same warehouse, I start to get lazy with it. So that's another factor.
Yeah, and I guess like doing private labeling, you get kind of spoiled in that way. So I'm the same way. So most of my products I'm making like $8 to $10 on per unit, and I'm sending in 1,000 at a time. And so, if I'm at a store and I'm only buying 5 of something and I'm only making, $8 or $9, to me, it almost like it's not worth my time. Like you said, Nate, unless I can buy 20 or more. And for the most part, for me, 20 is probably a pretty good number that that's how many I want, because then it's going to go to a warehouse that's close to me as well. And so getting to one other tip, what everyone, especially if you're new, you always got to look for is the competition on a product. So say you find a product, home and kitchen, it's ranked 1,000, but it has 100 sellers on it. So you're going to have to take that into consideration again. How long are you willing to wait out some of those sellers? You're going to have to keep a closer eye on that SKU. If you do have a price point, if you're not using a repricer, because you're going to have to manually reprice that, possibly. And so, that definitely has a lot to do with it. When you are out scanning and you see that there's 100 sellers on something, you're going to have to take that into consideration. I'm sitting on a product right now. It's actually a Nerf gun. I have close to 100 units in, and I've been sitting on them because the price was like at $27, right? 3 months ago. Well, now the price has finally come up. So now it's like $36.95. It's still at not my ideal price point. But they've just been sitting in the Amazon warehouse for 3 months now. But once it hits my price point, it's ranked like 14,000 in toys. I'll buzz through those then in 3 weeks. When I first got those in, I had to understand that I saw the number of sellers on that listing, and I had to understand that I was going to have to wait on that for a little bit.
Yeah, Danny.
And then, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we have a question here. Danny's asking, do we take reviews into consideration? If it's a name brand product, if I'm doing like retail or online sourcing and it's a name brand product, I really don't care about the reviews. If there's not very many reviews, I don't care about that if the rank looks pretty good, because I know it's a name brand product that people are going to be just buying because of the brand name. Now I don't know if you meant like, do I take the reviews if they're negative reviews? Like let's say they're all 2-star reviews. I might take that in consideration. But again, if it's a name brand product that I know is selling and the historical bestseller rank still looks consistent, I'm usually going to go with it unless I just feel like the return rate for some reason is going to be extremely high. That might be when you consider that. But reviews for retail sourcing and online sourcing usually aren't as big of a deal to me. Is not nearly as much as the historical bestseller rank.
Awesome. So hey, there's one question here, and then I'm almost done. So Travis, you asked what primary. I am primarily PL. I'm about 95% PL, and then the rest online arbitrage. And I primarily get all of those buys from Curtis Batdorf's group, the list. Now, when I'm in stores, I definitely always have my phone out. My wife, my kids hate me, but I'll never go anywhere without scanning. So I'm always looking for opportunities when it comes to retail arbitrage. So that's all I had. Look, you guys, I just want to encourage you again, if you're not part of our mastermind community, definitely look into that. Nate and I are dead serious on helping you become a better seller. We are all about educating other sellers. We are excited about that. We're having a really good time doing that. The community right now is full of great sellers. There's a real good mix of new sellers, middle sellers, as well as expert sellers. So definitely go to Slamazon Bros and check that out. I think that it's a wonderful community. I think it's just going to continue to grow and get stronger. Back to you, Nate.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it. Hopefully that helps you get a better idea of, the types of things you're looking at to find good inventory. And it's really an important topic because this is going to be the lifeblood and the success to your Amazon business is finding good inventory. And yeah, again, if you're watching this on YouTube, we appreciate if you can give us a thumbs up. Check out the mastermind community. You can see that in the link above, or I just posted that in chat for you guys who are watching this live with us. We appreciate your time today, and we really think that for anyone that's looking to grow their business or get serious and start on Amazon, the mastermind community is going to be really beneficial for you. So that'll do it for this week. We'll see you next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, you guys. Take care. Have a good Wednesday.